Morning all. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning, and welcome to one of a couple of community information sessions on Rocky Nats, and thanks for taking the time and come and be informed, and there will be an opportunity to ask some questions later. For those that don't know me, I'm Greg Bowden. I'm the Executive Manager of Advanced Rockhampton, and we'll talk a little bit more about Advanced, or in brief at least, soon. Councillor Wickerson, thanks for joining us this morning. I know you have an interest for a number of reasons in this event, other than being a great event, but also sitting right in the middle of our CBD and part of your division as well. So thanks for joining us. But as I say, thanks for everyone for taking the time this morning. Just acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge the lands of which we meet on today, and the traditional custodians of this land being the Durrumbal people, and pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Just letting you know, we are recording today. That's so we can put it on the website for those people that can't attend and out doing business or for any other reason. So they'll be able to jump on. A copy of the presentation that you'll see today will also be on there if you wanted to share that or just review what we talk about. Advanced Rocky, very quickly. Advanced Rockhampton, we're a subsidiary of council, or a part of council, Department of Council. We're the tourism, marketing, events and industry development. So basically the economic development agency, here to work on livability, visitability for tourists and investability for investors. So it's in a nutshell, that's what we do. And I have a team around all of those areas, small team around each of those areas. And but obviously today is about the events part of the business and keeping you informed on that. So we'll hear from Summer Nats in a minute, all about the event. There's a long list, just from the events team today. Over here is Eileen Brown, the events coordinator. So we'll be the event lead for the event. Jordan Gooch from our team, and he's the business and community consultant. That'll do. Yeah, that's right. I change the title every day, but basically his job is to make sure that you keep informed about this event and others, of course, along the way. And Amanda Pargeter, who you will hear from in a minute, from Summer Nats, our great partner in this event. I just wanted to put this slide up very quickly before we move on to what you really came for. It's just some key numbers around last year's event at last Easter. Rockynats01, we certainly learned some lessons along the way there. It was a very successful event, whether that be in economic growth for our industries and for people, whether they be visitors or residents. With 40,000 people coming through the gates over those 3 days, what a great thing. And about 50% of those being locals and about 50% being visitors. So what we know as Rocky people is a predominantly quiet time for our city at Easter. Certainly wasn't last Easter, and we're planning on it not being that this Easter. And then the injection into, whether that be into the retail sector, whether that be into the hospitality sector, whether that be into the hotels, and many other flow-on effects from it. So, even Airbnb, because our hotel's filled, and we expect they will again this year, Airbnb are signing up more and more people who are willing to put up their house or their unit and go away themselves for Easter, but rent it out. So, even those sort of sideline benefits for our residents along the way. So, without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Amanda, who'll go through a lot more detail about the event and the logistics around it, and then we'll have a chance for questions after that.
Thank you, Greg. Welcome everyone today. I know Greg's already done that, but I just want to thank you for the time that you've given us this morning. I almost said this evening because I'm already back at yesterday, but thank you. Proceedings for today, I'm just going to go through road closures, what impacts and stuff will sort of be on you. Please know it won't be too dissimilar to what we did do last year. I'm just going to quickly go into an event overview on kind of what our numbers are looking like and dates and things. And then we'll move into access, so accreditation, parking, and all that sort of things that will impact you. Hard to know whereabouts you are based, but I'm sort of going to base this quite upon the CBD and how those impacts and what differences will be in place than there were this year. Last year. I've gotten so used to saying this year that now it's actually last year. So I apologise if I do say, and people that are watching at home, if I do happen to say this year, I do mean last year's event. We've just ticked over into that new year and it's still getting me. So bear with me today. So you would have seen, the team, so Ben and Andy, they're sending their apologies. They'll be back up in a couple of weeks just to kind of kick things off. And it's also myself. The team will start building on from now just because it is into those planning phases. I'm quickly going to go through a few of the details. So we are again on Easter. So these dates are from the 15th to the 17th of April. So it's the second week of April this year instead of the first. So all the dates will be slightly different, but the timings and our install and everything will be very similar to what we did do this year. The estimated arrival date is the Wednesday. So we start scrutineering. For those that aren't aware of what scrutineering is, that just means the cars start coming through for their registrations. So they'll start picking up all of their particular accreditation to be able to access passes into the event. So that kicks off from that Wednesday. So you will see an influx into numbers coming around from those dates. We do start on Tuesday, but that's mostly just for locals to get in that afternoon session. We've got an estimated crowd, so probably been a bit light on that one this year. So we did hit, as Greg said, around that 30 to 40,000 across the 3 days last year. So we're sort of looking at those same numbers with a drop-off of perhaps locals and then picking up some of those interstaters that we weren't able to last year. It was mostly a Queensland event, given Brisbane went into lockdown the week of. It's all sort of, we'll see how things track. In terms of entrance, we are looking at a larger target, just obviously depending on accommodation and being able to accommodate those amount of numbers, but we are looking at about 1,800. So last year we did cap that at 1,500. I think overall we ended up with about 1,200, including 300 bikes. So sort of looking at those similar numbers, maybe a slight drop off on bikes just because we're not running a hog festival this year. We're currently actually at 1,200. So those numbers have peaked since we last did this. So we are tracking quite nicely for those. Locations will be very similar to what we did last year. So the Rockhampton Showgrounds, we've got the CBD, which I'll go through in a bit more detail shortly. And then we've also got Callaghan Park, so over at the boat ramp on the north side. Entrants are on sale and have been for some time, and we have gone on sale with spectator tickets. This is just a quick overview of the map. You will be sent this and everything to have a look at this in more detail, but I will go through what those changes do look like. But this just sort of highlights what we'll be doing in each of the different areas. Our event components, so as I said, not too dissimilar to what we did this year. The biggest addition there is probably a bit more of an entertainment program. We didn't offer that as much last year, not knowing what we could do with COVID. But this year we're hoping that we can really jam pack that and offer some other interesting components rather than just cars. The program, so kicking off again on Good Friday. It is an alcohol-free event, so we will be just running during the afternoon sessions. So we don't do anything over into the night. That'll be kicking off at the showground. So we'll be doing our street parade again from that 11:30 to 1:30. So I did stress yesterday to those that did come in the evening that you will be impacted again. I must stress that we will cause impact to the CBD during these times. It's inevitable when we do close roads. So we will be having that hard road closure stand up. I do know that a few people got stuck either on the south side or the north side. So I would advise trying to make your plans sort of before or after. Come down, enjoy the event. It was we had some great local attraction and people down there watching the cars. It will go for sort of that 2-hour period. We really did go straight from that 11:30 and we got the last car back in at that 1:30. So we ended up with around 1,500 with bikes and cars included. So yeah, just be mindful that during those times on the Friday, there will be slight impact to business as normal. So if you do need to go from south side and north side, looking at maybe different options just around those times. I know especially for emergency services, they're looking at where they can base themselves so that they know that they can get to and from each different area. Obviously, we will stop the route and let them through because that's way more important than what we are here to do today. got the burnout, so I'm really just going to sort of give you an overview of the program that will probably impact you. So the burnouts for anyone that is sort of over and around those areas is very similar to what we did this year, so sort of just the evening. So once the street parade's finished, it'll start kicking off as well. We'll probably have a little bit more entertainment into the showgrounds as well, just for that afternoon session and evening. Saturday we kick off, so timings will be very similar to what we did last year. So 9 till 6 is what we'll be running in the CBD. So our activities actually finish at that 5 o'clock, but we will be giving ourselves an hour just so that we can get people out to be able to open up those roads and everything, and for it to be safe for cars to continue back through. So in terms of accreditation and stuff, I'll go through those particular hours that will sort of stand up and when you'll need access. The CBD, so yeah, as I said, it goes to about 5. We haven't probably highlighted that, but it does open back up at 6. And the Northside precinct will be that 9 till 9, very similar to what we did last year. So not too big an impact in terms of hours and what we're doing this year, or I should say difference to what we actually did. So the showgrounds again, so we're actually starting it slightly later over there, so an hour later. And again, those CBD times are also from 9 till 5, opening back up at 6. So Saturday, Sunday will be that 9 till 5. Just for those that did just join us, you will be sent the presentation and stuff as well. We're also recording this just for your own information. So there will be a link and everything that will be sent out so that you can refer to these and actually have some more high level to detail to read over. Yeah, and all the program and stuff in the CBD is very similar. So we sort of haven't expanded upon what we're offering this year just due to budget restraints and things, just holding it to what we have. We're looking at building upon the program at later years. So same sort of drifting, straight drags, all that sort of stuff. I'll go through in high detail what the impacts will be for bump in. And then, so that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So just know that if you are in the CBD, it's still that Saturday and Sunday that we will be running the program. Quick couple of updates to what we've done in and around the CBD in particular and the street parade. So we have taken out the bike precinct. So for any of those that do work for council, we did close off Alma Street just behind us. We won't be implementing those road closures again this year. That will actually now be all open to the public, hopefully being used as parking. The access into the actual precinct won't be on the right-hand side of me, but it will actually be on the left. So we have moved that one. One sort of, I guess, feedback that we did get, and even for myself walking around, was that our spectator entry points were quite far from one another. So if you did enter off East Street coming back down here to Bolsover and Stanley, I believe it is, it was quite a distance. So what I've tried to do this year, or what we've tried to do, is keep those vehicle entries on one end and the spectator entries on the other, just from a safety perspective and also ease of access. So anyone that's sort of wanting to enter in from a business and resident, we will be looking at a dedicated entry point as well this year. So you will be able to access from any of the vehicle entries, but also just having a dedicated one so that you don't get stuck in any of that traffic and there aren't as many delays as perhaps you might have experienced this year. It was our first year. There's always going to be learnings, and it will be continual learnings as the years go on. So the more information that you can give to us, and I did stress this yesterday, the better informed we are and the easier we can make it for you. We're not here to try and make things more difficult. We want to work with you and make this as streamlined and easy as possible that we can do. So the more information we know, the better equipped we are to be able to facilitate that. It's okay. Yeah, and I'll just reiterate that for the video and stuff as well. So that's just Jordan Goach, I think it is, that Greg has introduced, is your point of call for any of those things. There will be a hotline set up not too dissimilar again to what we did do last year. But just really make sure you've got that phone number, because as those things happen and access restrictions do come to you, please phone. Try not to figure it out on the fly or on the ground. The easiest thing for you is to call that number and we can just escalate that straight up and get it resolved. So yes, thanks Jordan, to just let everyone know that he will be the point of call. So yeah, vehicle access and everything, there will be now one, instead of on the left-hand side of Town Hall, it will actually be on the right, and that's looking at the CBD as I'm standing, just so you know. I've gone through the vehicle access points being moved. Emergency services obviously will be the same, so they'll have access to anywhere and everywhere. We'll go through the process for them to be able to access, but there will be no restrictions for them, and it will be a lot lighter than everyone else, because obviously their job is quite important. We have made, so CBD access and general access vehicle, that's all the same, so that'll stand up as soon as we at that 6 p.m, no changes there. And then the slight route access change to the street parade is that last year we did run cars on the back of each other up on Key Street. So I'll go through that, but we've actually brought them back down onto East Street. So having two-way traffic on East Street in a particular zone did sort of become a little bit too much for those cars getting up onto the over the ramps. So we will be bringing the back traffic down along East Street. So I'll go through that. I'll show you the street parade and how that slight change is. But in terms of other road closures, it'll be very similar to what we did. We're looking at bringing in road plates this year. So there were some issues with cars getting up over the speed humps just because they're so low lying. So we will be bringing in road plates just to make that a bit more smoother, hopefully also a faster street parade as well, so that when hopefully might not take that 2 hours, but it might actually be slightly quicker. So I'll just quickly go through showing you an actual map and just highlight each of those changes that I did speak about. Excuse my probably shaky hand when I do put the pointer up, but just bear with me. So we've got this section here where we are is the bike precinct. So again, as I said, that's all been taken out. We will actually be putting the bikes into this area here, as well as perhaps here. So they'll be really a part of the event now. They won't be segregated, which will mean that none of these road closures will stand up. There won't be any impact in and around here. Those changes to vehicle entries and spectator points that I did speak about are right here. So this one here was here last year. So we are moving this one. They have been just switched up. So for any access for businesses, you'll come through this one. You'll also have some access points in and around here as well. So there will be 3 accesses. And as I spoke about, we are looking at 1 dedicated. So we will provide maps, everything a bit further down the track, a business information pack that will have all of this for you, including road closures, how you access. So we have taken out this section. We are perhaps looking at taking out this block, all good things depending as well, which will have a little less impact, but everything else is pretty much the same. So we're running the street drags up here on Key Street. We've got the Key Street show and shine. We're also looking at creating some nice car showcases as people do enter in that will be parked up. So that's sort of how we're looking. The burnout precinct won't change. We're just making some more operational and logistical changes around safety and access and all that. But from an access point for residents and things, it'll be very similar. Sorry that it is really small. As I said, you will be sent all of this. And if you do have any questions, we will open up the floor at the end of the proceedings. And I will be available as well as the team to be able to answer any of those questions that you may have. If after the meeting you do have some questions that you did forget to ask, we will have an email address and that phone number that you'll be able to call to ask any questions. All right, so street parade. A couple of slight changes here. So we have thrown in a couple of additional traffic control in and around this space, just to be able to help with that flow and local access, as well as getting those cars in. They all tend to come nice and early, which throws us off. So we've sort of thrown in additional resources so that we can make sure we capture those and make that as streamlined as possible. I do know that in past instances, the showgrounds can be quite difficult to get to, especially if you do live in and around that area. So we want to, as I've said, try and make it as streamlined as possible. There will be impacts. There always is with this sort of thing when we're bringing in more cars. So just letting you guys know that there will be. So the main change is up here. So this is where I spoke about Key Street. I'm sorry if you can't see that pointer, but just up on Key Street, we're moving the return traffic along East Street. So the to traffic will go down Key, and then the return will come down East. It'll go in through the bus lane, yes, correct, and then down in through Key Street. So they will come back onto each other, but we're just sort of taking them off that Key Street. I think too, we had a lot of crowd that sort of gathered in and around that area, so giving some more space for them as well. So I think it will work nicely, and it was actually the police's idea to sort of bring them in through the bus route, so should work well. All right, I'm going to jump into the stuff that I'm sure you're all wanting to know. So this is the road closures. So just so you know, and for your reference, it will be this very similar to what we did this year. So most of those impacts in and around the CBD kicked off from about Monday if you were on Key Street. So that's the first one we're going to tackle here because that is the longest setup. As for any other areas, it will just be that maybe a slight interference on the Friday because we will need to put in some road closures for marquees for spectator entries, but it will only be those particular access points. So it was the two green bits that I did highlight. So I'll just go back and show you those. So the two areas which we will just need that Friday will be in and around here, and over here. So that'll be building the marquees on the road. It'll just be built on one side so that we can have vehicle access on the other, but we won't be able to have any vehicles going through there just from, again, a safety perspective. So that will be those will be shut down, so there will just be slight detours in and around those particular sections. So Key Street. No, not Key Street. I shouldn't say that. Yes, it is. So the street drags. So Monday will kick off. So last year we built the concrete barriers on the riverside, and we'll run those down from about Monday, Tuesday, with then impacts on the business side from Wednesday, Thursday. In terms of keeping driveways and things opened, after the experience from this year, it's much easier for us to just do one full run and continue. So if you are on Key Street, more than happy to sort of go through how that will look for you. We did keep some driveways open because some businesses only have access from that front entry. So if you are in those areas, happy to sort of talk through a bit more there. But that's the biggest impact, I guess, in the CBD. And for those that do work in and around that area, there will just be road closures, so you won't be able to sort of get anywhere in and around Key Street. That lower level car park will also be shut again from Monday for those that do use that. So there will be some displaced parking. So we'll have that one shut as well as the drifting from Monday as well. So I'll go through that in a second. But just to show you a quick map, so the road closure is very similar to what we did this year. We actually ended up doing a rolling road closure on Key Street. So as we bumped in the concrete barriers, we sort of moved with it. But once we've put one run of concrete barriers, we will then need to shut the road again from safety. So all the parking on Key Street will also be disrupted during those times. The intent will then be to get them out from Sunday evening / Monday to try and make sure that that's all up and running from about Wednesday, I think we have scheduled. So it's business as usual from Wednesday there. The car park will be opened up slightly earlier. So we'll make sure down on the lower river level, that will be opened up earlier. So we'll be looking at getting that up and running from around Monday, Tuesday. So we'll just take the concrete barriers out from the entry. So the biggest sticky point down with that car park is we will need to close off the entry point down into the car park, which then just makes it difficult trying to traffic manage cars in and out from that roundabout exit area, if you are aware of where I'm talking about. So that's sort of from a safety perspective and our experience from this year, it's way safer for us to be able to close that off and manage it. I've had a few people just say about parking and our suppliers and contractors parking in and around that space. So I'll just make sure they do use that lower level so that it's not impacting in and around the actual CBD. So we go through that in more detail if we need to. So moving on down to Show and Shine and Key Street. So I'll show you a map because myself, I'm probably more visual, but we're running it in the same location, hoping to actually bring in some more cars in this East Street section and also over here on Derby where we'll have both our entry points. So as I did say with that marquee and the entry point, this road closure here will stand up slightly earlier. So on Friday, there'll be road closures right where that 15 is and right here as well, pardon me, to be able to build the marquee, and those road closures will stay up until Monday once that marquee has come down. So just as a reference point, and there'll also be one over here, as I spoke about, just next to Town Hall, that will be closed off from Alma Street. So anyone that does work in the council and stuff, just make sure that you're probably coming in and around off Stanley Street into this car parking on Friday, even though it's Good Friday, so I'm not sure who's going to be working then, but just as a reference point. So again, as I said, all the other road closures will stand up from that Saturday morning. So 6 a.m. is when those road closures will come in. There will be some rolling road closures throughout the week for us to be able to input fencing up, but that will be short-term impacts. So that'll just be as they put it up, and as soon as it's been put up, it'll sort of move on. So that will just be as it comes along, but it won't be anything that you can't drive down a road. There'll just be slight impacts on maybe a little bit longer because you'll need to wait for the return traffic to pass. Moving on to the street cruise route. So this one here doesn't have any impacts, but the road closure standing up from 6 a.m. So the cruise route has actually changed and we're just doing it over 2 blocks now. Sorry, that probably should have run through that when we did do those changes. But we did run over 3 blocks last year. So Bolsover from Denham through to Derby and then Stanley. We're now just going to Derby. So it'll just be, and we went all the way up to South. So we're excluding South this time. So it'll just be 2 blocks, but that again won't have any impact. That's more for our entrants to know once they're in the actual precinct, because there's no real infrastructure that goes in for that. There's just some traffic bollards and things from a delineating pedestrian access and vehicle access, which will only be brought in on that Saturday morning, again, once those road closures stand up. So this is the map for the cruise route. So again, over 2 blocks, as I said, so we'll be going from Denham to Derby instead of Stanley. All the different road closures. So these ones here, as I said, will stand up from that Saturday morning. As I said, the only one will be this one here, which will be the marquee, so that'll already be up. And then the displaced parking I've already gone through, and I'll go through the other one in a second. So drifting. We will be closing down from, as I said, the Monday the 11th, so that's just the week of the event. So there will be that displaced parking if anyone does park down there on Empire. We'll be bringing in concrete barriers as well as water fields this year, so it's a slightly longer bump in that is required, but we did close that down from the Monday last year. As I said there, we've got Archer Street, so that'll be from the Friday to get the marquee in. We've got the Victoria Parade car park, and then the road closures. So there's some more details there that you'll be able to read through. But essentially these ones here will all stand up, those two, the 20 and 21, which is the lanes, will stand up from the Saturday morning. And then the 19 at Archer Street will be Friday. It'll just be that little bit near the Empire. And this 18 one will be also Saturday morning. So it's just the car park for us to be able to bring in all the infrastructure that will be from the Monday. Burnouts. So I'm not too sure if there's many people here from the north side, but we will be bringing those in a lot earlier than the CBD. So there's a lot more infrastructure that goes into that boat ramp. So for anyone that is impacted by the boat ramp, it will be sort of a 2-week process for us to be able to get the grandstand Again, it'll be some rolling road closures, more just from a safety perspective, with the car park sort of being shut off again the week of the event. So there will still be some access to be able to park whilst the grandstand is being built, which is from the 4th, but from the 11th we will shut that down again, so we can bring in those beautiful concrete barriers and water fields from to be able to build the actual pad itself. So I've just sort of gone through that. And then these is just the maps for those that are wondering. So we've got the boat ramp here, and this road closure won't stand up until a lot closer to the event. Displaced parking, so I've already sort of gone through that, but the intent will be to try and get that back up and running for the Tuesday morning. So Monday is a public holiday, so we'll be looking at trying to make everything business as usual from the Tuesday. And that's both the lower level car parks, but it will be impacted from the Monday before. So I've got there the date, so Monday the 11th, and then looking back to be back open by Tuesday. We do have in some of the other slides Wednesday, just in case we do need it, but it will be looking at getting that all back up and operational. We're also not running the shuttle or the displaced parking this year. We did run one last year out from the showgrounds, but the uptake was so low that for us, it cost more money for us to put that on than it was used. So again, I did say this yesterday evening, if you are looking for that and a bit concerned about parking, we can have obviously an offline conversation, but we can look at putting that back on if that's something that people will use. I don't know whether it's the shuttle that deters people, but yeah, we've sort of gone away from that this year just because we had up to like 10 people use it across the week that we had it operational. So it just wasn't worth it for us to run. Accreditation. So access, for those that were in and around this area last year, it will be quite a similar process. So you will be sent an application shortly after this proceedings ends. A few weeks after, we'll look at getting out an online link for you to be able to apply for any access passes that you do require. That'll include not just for pedestrians, but also for vehicles. So I'll go through what they look like, very similar to what we did last year. So if you are looking at accessing by foot, you'll just need a wristband. If you are bringing in a car, you will need the wristband for the person, as well as the sticker for the car, just so that we know that we've got the right people. Please know this all comes out of safety and concerns and legislation around events and vehicle movement. So we sort of just have to abide by those when it does come to standing up. I'll just let you know that accreditation and access from when you need to actually wear those accreditations doesn't stand up until Saturday. So that for those people in the CBD, it's Saturday morning at 6 a.m. So as soon as those road closures come in and we shut the fencing off, that's when you'll need to be wearing your accreditation to get in. That just for us shows that you're a ticketed, authorised person to be able to access the area. So please know it's only Saturday morning that that's needed and Sunday morning. So Saturday and Sunday, 6 a.m. both days. After 6 p.m, all those gates and everything will be opened back up and you will be able to access business as usual. I know there was a couple of sticky bits with few people having some issues after that 6 p.m. So again, please use that hotline and we do have the number for that. So if there is issues after 6 p.m. and accessing without accreditation, just let us know because you won't need a wristband or anything. It will be one of those wristbands that sort of once they go on, they stay on anyway, unfortunately. But as for the pass for the car, it will be just like a paper slip that you can sort of throw in. So yeah, which is slightly different to what we did last year. So in terms of the application process, I've sort of just gone through that, but you'll be sent a pack with all the information that you need, maps and things. You'll go on and apply for what you will do require across that weekend. Please note it's just for those people that need to access Saturday and Sunday. Any other days you don't need to fill this application out. So it sort of goes through there what you'll actually need to pop in. And as I've gone through personal and vehicle, it'll be confirmed, you'll be notified that you've been successful, and we'll also go through the collection process just in a moment. But it'll gain you access to the CBD only. So please know it won't give you access to the full event. It's just for you to be able to get into your business or place of residence. The types of accreditation, so as I said, this was the one from last year, so it won't be too dissimilar. So you'll get an access pass, which will be for the person, and then this will just be what you'll need to displace on the car if you are trying to get in. Please know my recommendations for when we do stand up and we are operational, try and get in before or after. It's just less impact on you and having to fight traffic. I do understand that that's not easy, and that's probably not always something that you can do, but that would be, you're not fighting traffic to try and get in and out. We do operate from 6 till 6 technically with our accreditation. So just know that if you can get in and out other times, I'd probably recommend doing so. The collection process. So this year we will have that set up here. So at the Rockhampton Customer Service Centre, Rockhampton Regional Council. So that's right where we are here today. So that's where you'll be able to come collect. You'll just need to show like a form of identity just to show that you are who you are, and you'll be able to collect those packs that you have applied for. So all those passes that you're requiring will be able to be collected from here. For those people that can't come and collect or there is issues with that, please just refer you to Jordan and you'll be able to work out a procedure around that. We will be able to hand those out at ad hoc requirements. So please just touch base with us if you're not able to collect those packs during those hours and dates. So all of that information again will be in the business pack. We haven't got that for you today, but in a few weeks' time you will receive all that information about opening times, collection points, all those beautiful things. And please know that we've taken your details today, so we've got those to be able to then give you as much information as possible. For anyone that you might know that hasn't been receiving anything, please again reach out. You've got the email up here, so just reach out to that one and send through that email, because the more information we can have and the more contact details, the more we can inform you of what's actually going on. Just got a slide in here about local business. Anyone that's wanting to get involved, please do. Please reach out. Run events, entertainment, any promos. We had a few businesses that did take that up last year. I know the Giddy Goat in particular did run an entertainment piece on the Thursday. It's really great for us to know that that's what's going on. As I've said earlier, our entrance and things do come in from around Wednesday. So they are looking at a couple of things to do, given we don't really kick off proceedings until that Friday. For us, it's giving them the opportunity to make the most of what's in the region. But if you do have offerings on those days, please feel free to reach out to us and we can co-promote. We're here to try and make this as impactful as for you guys as it is for us. So yeah, please jump on. And just for reference, I should have explained that entrants are our participants. So they're the ones that bring the cars and all their buddies and friends and family, just for reference. And we've just put this one in there just as more of showing face that we are doing the same requirements and procedures that we did do last year. So we have 2 governing bodies that we work very closely with. So Motorsport Australia, who do oversee things like the F1, Formula 1, for those that I probably shouldn't be using acronyms. So Formula 1, they adhere to all the same guidelines. We have to abide by those same restrictions. We do have Andra, who's our governing body for the drags. So again, we do all the right things in terms of getting them out here, seeing the site, making sure everything's up to scratch. We've already got some works and things in the place just to make sure it's as safe as we possibly can make it. One probably big thing and change for those guys in the CBDs, and it probably comes more from a spectator experience, but we will be having business side of the drags. We'll actually be able to watch now. So we've got the approval to have spectators on both sides of the drag strip this year. So we just sort of thrown that in there just to show face that we do have that happening again. All of that's ticking along nicely and we're just waiting on the formal permits to be able to proceed, which don't come a lot closer to the event. And I think that sort of wraps us